It's okay. Excellent.
Hi. How's everybody? Things will get a little bit more formal in no time, but I just wanted to say there's a memory book outside if you want to jot something down just next to the refreshments. Did not do me, but I will observe protocol a bit later.
There's somebody else here. Yeah, I was about to say, Yes, we heard you. We completed it. We were actually sitting together. That's WhatsApp. Let me nothing has changed. Still thinking of boss. Yeah. So I tried to call him and he didn't answer. No. Carried on getting WhatsApp message. No. I can't make it. I can't make it. What you're asking her is where are you? Show up. I actually referred him to you. And I was like, go back to me. Oh, that's why, because he said to me. He said to me, my name came up, but then he said, already confirmed. He said, go back to me. And I said, what? Yes. So he already spoken to you? Yes. Yeah. And then I was just waiting to hear what actually was said. So when I remember, yes. That's exactly what I did. Yeah. But it's so cool that actually, even when we are referred to you as and he didn't say, he was like, I had to do that. Changed. Somebody's checking in on me for the prepared. It's not your place anymore. You delegate sex rights and you don't have and the rest of the guys. I'm not really exactly how I feel. people, when there's people like you who come and drink.
Hello, everybody. Now observing protocol and starting the formalities. Dumela Mbakolo, Dumela Basadi, Dumela Mamantigi, Dumela Leafo, Dumela Dean, Dumela Sphere, Dumela Karabo, and other family members. Thank you for providing us this opportunity to commemorate and celebrate Dumi's life. I know I'm looking quite serious, but the idea is that we show a slice of life and our journey with Dumi, and I think that the idea is to demonstrate how positively she impacted the rest of us. So just starting with myself, Kinna Dumi Rabanye. I have a joke about Dumi and Mpo and their experience of me because we've worked closely together across several stages. So Dumi and I and Mpo met at Inroads all of 20 years ago. So Dumi's been in my life for a long time. I was starting out and they were really kind of like present in guiding me and giving me and my feisty personality a chance to blossom. But Dumi and Mpo knew me quite well and we worked quite closely. I come in 2 language settings only. And in many situations, we talk about what triggers my Setswana setting, and it was a peak. Mpoli Dumi would often say, "I ke fitla staging se ke reng ga nkitla lo itse gore go senyegile jaanong batho ba modimo ke ne ke lo raya ke re ra amogela gompieno re tlile go keteka botshelo ba ga Dumi and just reflect the spectrum and the ways in which she touched us. I'm going to start by welcoming Khalza, who represents the Matrix Group, who are also responsible for bringing us together here. And I'd really like to invite us to feel, to show our emotions. I think in the formality of a funeral, there are times when you are respectful and you don't applaud when you feel like applauding, and you don't laugh out as loud as you would. The idea here is that we are here to feel and express ourselves and be warm and aware and embracing towards each other as Dumi wants to us. Okay, how's that?
We are vertically challenged. Dumelang, good afternoon to everyone that's here. Thank you so much for coming. We wanted to take the opportunity as a company to celebrate our colleague, our friend who left us a few weeks ago. And just wanted to reflect also just on Dumi's life. And I think today we're going to hear a lot from her friends, those that worked with her throughout her career. Because I think at her funeral, which was such a beautiful send-off that the family organized for her, we heard a lot from her family. And I think all of us here make up the people that Dumi interacted with, and Dumi left a mark in our lives. I want to thank the family. I want to thank Dean and Mama. Thank you so much. Le Papa, I know he's not here, but he's with us in spirit as well. Just to thank you so much for affording us the opportunity to celebrate Dumi. When we were arranging the funeral, Dean put together a team, and we realized that we know each other. Some we only got to know each other at that point, but this team worked like a well-oiled machine. Things just got going. I think by Tuesday, everything was arranged. Almost, yeah. But it also just showed the diversity of friends Tumi lived with throughout her life. And some of us have connected through work socially. And for those of us who were able to make it to the funeral, realize just what an influence she had to the broader community, people of different ages. You couldn't work out the average age at the funeral, you know, because there was both old and young. Because Tumi loved everyone. You know, she loved kids. She loved her community. She connected with Mama Nziki and Papa Johnny's age group, you know, our age group. So her funeral was very, very dignified. And for a lot of us here who worked with her, at some point, you know, we reconnected, you know, because I always say the 90s was the golden decade. You know, the 80s was the worst decade in this country. State of emergency and just our economy almost collapsing because of sanctions. And the 90s presented a totally different outlook, you know, and for those of us who managed to grow up in the 90s, you know, with Kwaito music and all kinds of interesting stuff where we were able to express ourselves. Joining this industry sort of in the late 90s, and some of us here, you know, had already joined in the 90s. It was so difficult because there were very few black people in the industry, and we always had to punch above our weight, you know, just to keep your job, you know, and just to be able to have a seat at the table, you know. So Tumi was part of that gang, you know, the pioneers, the people who were brave, you know, to stand out and also to be able to contribute in the way that they did. So we want to celebrate that because through that, you know, it's led to companies like ourselves, and I see a lot of entrepreneurs here being brave to feel like we could start our own businesses, you know, in an industry where, you know, it's very competitive. It's dominated by globally owned companies that have euros and dollars to spend, you know, and at the same time, we also sometimes are not given the opportunities because we're seen as small companies, you know. But when we started our business in 2020, you know, Dino and Tumi were the first people that are asked to come and join on this journey, and they both obliged. And you know, 2.5 years later, we're still standing. But I've also believed in working with women in leadership because I think women also bring a different angle to business. And what Tumi brought to our environment was very valuable. A business where we bring in young people who are also kind of coming in when we came in the 90s, trying to cut their teeth in the industry, to experienced people that have been in the industry for a long time. Everyone had to go via Tumi's office, you know. She always made it a point that she gets to know who you are, and that, you know, you come through to her office and you have a conversation. So as a result, she really got to know a lot of our people, and, you know, some of the interns that came in would often be found in her office. We say, but what are they discussing? You know, they've been there for like a whole hour, and what are they talking about? You know, but it really spoke volume about her and just the way she took the time to get to know people. And I mentioned at the funeral that, you know, empathy is a very difficult thing because we aren't born with empathy. As human beings, we're born to take care of number one, it's survival of the fittest. Empathy says, put yourself in the next person's shoes, right? And that's not something that comes naturally. But Tumi managed to do it so seamlessly in the work environment, but also socially. You know, within the group, you know, every quarter we go away for our group expo, and we've decided that we go to different parts of the country so that we also get to learn the country. And in no time, you know, our colleagues from Durban, Cape Town, Tumi's got them in her hands. You know, she's in control. You know, and that really helped in a very short period of time for us to get to where we are. You know, as a business that's driving integration, and the only way you're going to drive integration is there must be trust. You know, so she really played a pivotal role in helping us get close to that. So I just want to say, you know, to Dean, you know, who is a friend as well, to say, firstly, thank you, man. I know it's probably been a very, very difficult journey, you know, to just support your wife through this, you know. And I know I'd often phone you because it's also difficult, you know, when someone's not well, as human beings, we check up on them, you know, but then sometimes we forget the people around them that have to be strong for them as well. And I just want to say that, you know, we'll always be there for you, and we'll work this journey together. But as opposed to the broader family as well, and those that I know Tumi was very close to, even in her last few days, just to thank you so much on behalf of all of us for really kind of encouraging her and, you know, tapping into her tenacity, you know, to keep going and to keep fighting. And I think for now we just need to accept that she's in a better place. You know, the thing about cancer is that, like, you just go through pain, you know, and I'm sure it's pain that's indescribable. So I think while it's painful and while we need to go through this journey of healing, let's release her, let's allow her to rest. She is and must be in a better place. In our culture, we believe that when we pass on, we become ancestors. You know, and when we leave the world in a good place, where people are happy that you're a good person, your soul remains. You know, so while she physically is not here with us, I think her soul will continue to be with us. So, Mama Nziki, I'm also saying to you as well, we know how much she loved coming home and, you know, loved being with you and Papa Johnny as well. And I know that this will leave a gaping hole, not having her physically there. But I think let's always remember that she'll always be with us in her own way, because you couldn't ignore her, you know. Those big eyes from the corner, you know. But I think the things she loved, she brought us into the love for music, you know, her love for reading, and I think those are the things that we'll remember her with. You know, the book club that she was part of, and she was always talking music, you know, all kinds of genres. And if she had a good song, before you knew it, it was like the anthem, you know, I'm a piano song, out of the blue, you know, and I think let's just, for our colleagues, remember that, you know, like, I feel the continent, even though, you know, there's a lot of negative things happening around us, but I think the continent is in such a good place, right? I think post-COVID, the lockdowns, I think Africa will emerge, you know, and I think if we think about the people who have contributed to this country and this continent over the last few decades, whether we're talking Hugh Masekela or Kefa Semenya, to whether we're talking Trevor Noah today or Benny McCarthy, or we're talking about Black Coffee, or we're talking about Shemza, these are people who have left a mark, right? They're not all from rich families, they all come from humble homes, but they've had belief. And I just want to challenge us to say, you know, in Tumi's memory, how are we going to raise the bar? You know, how are we going to set a bar that speaks to excellence? You know, and how are we going to put this continent on a different trajectory within the creative space we operate in? So I think that in her honor, it's a challenge to say, you know, how can we collaborate and work better together to achieve greatness, you know, at a time where the world is ready for us. And if you look at what Amapiano is doing as a genre, you know, where it's putting us on the map, you know, I think there's a huge opportunity for all of us here to continue where Tumi left us, but do it in her memory, so that at the end of the day, we can all look back and say, she continued to inspire us in her own way. So with that, I just want to thank everyone that's here, just on behalf of the group. And I know Karabo isn't here from TVWA, also just wanted to thank him for the venue, and also for the people that are not here physically, but are streaming. Thanks for taking the time. And also just to thank all our speakers, the family for coming through, just also for allowing us to share Tumi's life with everyone. Thanks, Tumi.
We'll have a little bit of a montage that'll show us a little bit of Tumi and, yeah, her colors. I keep going back to her colors. And then, Mpho, I'm going to cue you. You'll be the next speaker directly after that. Yeah, from our Hankita days.
I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching. But real long now, and I'm singing the song to you. I've been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching. Real long now, and I'm singing the song to you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I treated you unkindly, but darling, can't you see?
What a stuff up is what you mean. Come on, guys. Just get it right. Thanks to me. I think I heard her say that. It went on like that. Second time, like, okay, I'll save the moment now. Dumelang. Nina Nakati Mpho. I'm representing the team Yagwa Inroads Multimedia. The
multimedia. I've written some notes, so I'm not looking down out of disrespect. I just want to be here because my contribution for today's memorial is not just my contribution. It's not about me. It's about us, the people at Inroads who shared Tumi's 20s with her. And she left an indelible mark in our lives. I hadn't been in touch with Tumi for years. And when I heard of her passing, it was as if I had spoken to her yesterday. I looked at Tumi's name in full and I thought, okay, Boitumelo. Doesn't it speak to the person that she was? Like completely. But you know, she was true joy. She emulated happiness. Tumina Guarana. That's she'll tell you nicely if you're off track, very nicely. But she did it in love as well. So she was also full of larato. Family, we mourn with you. I can't imagine what you would have experienced just these last couple of months. I can't even imagine. And I'm only happy to stand here to remember a healthy Tumi, and a Tumi who was vibrant and energetic, a Tumi, you know, who was in good health. So I'm happy to have that memory, and I think that's the memory that a lot of us former Inroads colleagues hold. The B in Tumi's name, I think, is for bold and beautiful. You know, but she was absolutely that. Hasway spoke about her eyes. I mean, I've got little eyes, so how do me again into the room? The first thing that you see are those beautiful big eyes, and she could be shy, with them, and you could know what she actually doesn't want you in her space, just from those eyes when she looks down. But when she receives you, her eyes, and she's inviting in every sense of the word. So her boldness and her beauty was striking and constantly there. She was opinionated. Excuse the language, but again, she was very opinionated. Nanale opinion for anything and everything, and it comes from, I suppose, it comes from her education, from her knowledge. She was encouraged to higher. You can tell she was loved and encouraged to be her best self, even before that term was a thing. So that's why she had an opinion. She wouldn't hold back about what she felt about a situation. One of our strategists for Inroads actually mentioned, when I asked for memories, and I said, can people please share? I might not have reached everyone, apologies, but those that I did reach. Neo Mukhele, who was our strategist at Inroads at the time, says, I remember Tumi's tender smile and graciousness. She spoke and dressed exceptionally well, and could bully a client if you put if they put one foot wrong. And it wasn't bullying, it was just her letting the client know what's right and what's wrong. Tumi knew her craft. She knew her craft not only as a client service person, but she knew design. She knew style. How she presented herself told you. She knows when a color is supposed to be there. So she could speak to a designer and tell them that the design is not on for this client. And in the same way as she could tell a client, this is it, it's happening. And appreciate that. And it was lovely to actually have a colleague remember that. In being opinionated, I think beyond being opinionated, she was witty. Tumi had a play with words. She didn't just use words lightly. She understood what she was saying and doing. And it also goes back to just being bold and being empowered. A colleague who shall not be mentioned, we were in our 20s, so when I asked for memories, there were some 20s memories. Anonymous. Share a memory, and this speaks to her wit. I'll apologize for this. my fondest memory of Tumi. And she once walked past in the office wearing tight leggings. And after she walked past, she could sense my eyes on her. She turned around to look at me and said, "You like orange peel here?" And then we both laughed, and we both cracked up laughing. An inappropriate moment that she just handled so well, And this is a girl in her 20s. I was like, wow, that's genius. I don't know where she got that line from, but she would have thought about that, and so her opinions mattered. Instead of, speaking in a certain way to someone who's senior or whatever, she just came up with humor, but drove the point home and actually Boitumelo into the scene. She was inspirational in many ways, not only through her fashion sense, not only through her style. I think her work speaks for itself. Hausa, you mentioned and you read at the funeral a letter from one of her clients, Mitsubishi, I think. And that, that is just amazing. That is just when you can hear a client feel the loss. That's inspiring. You're like, yeah, I want to know funeral in but wait for make it and then man feels which way about it, I was like, that is nice touch. Mitsubishi, nice touch. I like that. For you to acknowledge the person that you worked with and actually appreciate the work that they did. That's the inspiration for me. Boitumelo, like I mentioned, that's the T in her name. And Boitumelo was filled with laughter. It was filled with joy. She loved her family. She loved her brothers, her mom, her grandmother. I'll tell you a story how we have a memory, Tumi Makwela, that we all laugh about. I'll get to it, I think, later. A former colleague, Sipho James, when asked what is his memory, she was a wonderful person, always available for a chat, great fashion sense, awesome music knowledge. And yeah, Baba know that and was brought up a lot at the funeral. She was unique, and in her uniqueness, almost whimsical. Sometimes Tumi Nagare opela in her own world, like like a whimsical, light-hearted world, like light and breezy. And they say the kind of presence, that's what we remember in the 90s. I don't know, family, if you remember that. Not the heavy, she didn't have a heavy presence. She had a light and breezy presence, and it wasn't superficial. It had the depth that I just spoke about, where she could be on the spot and on the ball, telling you off and telling you what's right and what's wrong. And I think when you bring up her compassion and her empathy, that uniqueness, the fact that you can go to any province, and be close to her. It's not everyone has that, so that's absolutely unique. A maestro indeed is the M, the music and the love for music, and Mino in her life. It was beautiful. The send-off was amazing. Those, the performances that were put together. The person loved music. The song in this montage that we just saw just moves our hearts. Nali Tumi, at the time, Tumi, I think you will remember this. At the time, being the kids of the 90s, Hausa, you just spoke about music and Waito. I have to bring this. I have to play this jam, guys. And this song. Not only was it Binaya Tumi, and she had remixed it to the point. I had it right here. Anyway, I'll play it at the end. It might just slow me down. But there was a Boom Shaka song that had a defamatory term for foreigners. That part where we sang with Makwela, That was like our sour jam in the office, or if she had just done something, won an account, or helped us, you know, get out of trouble with a client. Moves I heard at the funeral you mentioned for Nelibitsana Maria. Sorry, what's your name? Karabo are Tumi and Babitsana Maria. And I'm like, Are Maria, Maria Bautista. Maria Podesta, Makwela, you know, and the range was broad as her mind. You know, her love for music was as broad as her mind. We know Tumi was eloquent. Not only was she eloquent in English, as a South African girl, you will know most languages, but I appreciated Italia, yeah, Tumi. Can I mention a former client? Papa Hoops. Can I mention a former client? Social Mozambique. We had a client. Social Mozambique is represented in the room, but it was Social Mozambique. It wasn't Rasa at the time, so Social Mozambique, we had a very difficult client that we paid. The pain is still there. You can hear it in the echoes. To me, it was a really debrief from one particular sister at Social Mozambique. To me, when I walk into for agency. We are praying for the people who are presenting. She just starts with, how do we do this? How do we do this? And she'll put on like no, we can't. Who's going to teach her? So as much as she could tell clients off, there were certain clients that she knew, this is our bread and butter. And solved for the client. So her eloquence also came, like language would just change. She would code switch on the spot for the situation. Almost done. To me, we mentioned that she was loving, but I want to particularly share a memory that Baba Zile has. She mentioned this. Baba Zile Magongo used to work with us, she used to work with us at Inroads. To me, that's a little something serious. You know, eventually now Tumi is married, she's met Dean, and you know, but together, Baba Zile sees Tumi, I don't know, at some social gathering. And instead of introducing Dean Hunter, hi, here's my hubby, Tumi is like, hello, Baba Zile, they talk, they catch up. Hi, Baba Zile is like, what did she just say? I'm doing my So Bob introduces her as no putting shakes and but yeah, and yeah, she loved her family. So story sarona hamsiza. Pohai Satumi is Tumi. My older sister is very much like Tumi. She's Aries herself, and Amorata Tumi. So Tumi once shared a story with us at the Summers, or was it the Luris? I think it was at the Luris. So it was an overnight stay. They rakopana in the morning, and these two are waxing lyrical about fashion and style. Her grandmother used to have a wig. My sister was over the moon. This is what you need. Guys. So everyone knows, but we must always be on point because then if she could have a wig, who are you to look tardy? Oh, what a wild and beautiful time we had Boitumelo Makwela, will always remember her fondly, and I think she lived a beautiful life. I'm not even going to go into people's poems and whatever, but the loss is felt by all of us, and I think will be felt by us for many, many more moons to come. Need to do zege, family. There's nothing that we can say or do except just to, share our memories with you, to make the pain of what you're experiencing go away. But just know that, imagine Ma, was it your mom, Umawe? We talk about your mother, what's a guy somewhere, because your daughter shared a story with us somewhere. But, her life lives on through those kinds of memories. May her soul eternally rest in peace.
Thank you, boss. We're just going to let the music play in between, so please do let the music play. On the note about music, this is a playlist that reflected Tumi's preferences, right? And like I said, all of us have a music memory, Tumi. So let the music play, let's feel our feelings, let's applaud. And as Tumi would say, Wabon, she had this way, I get a tunes. So let's do this thing, okay? After the song, Olisi, please, kapawitli sa mo pili ko rejoin eh. Skaba snacks.
I want my whole life to be live
Well, maybe should have spoken after you. I think it's fine. Tumi, thank you so much. So the last time I spoke in front of people like this, I think I was still in high school. So you can just tell it how long that was. Hausa and the team, what we're doing is nothing more to so. Thanks. So Hausa and your team at Matrix, thank you so much for today. It pained me that what happened, and I couldn't say goodbye to Tumi. But thank you so much, Mama Tsigi. I'm sure Papa Johnny. Thank you for sharing Tumi. Because we're going 15 now. Tumi was my right-hand man. She used to insist on that. Graduating 15, so it's a small agency. So luckily she worked with us after working for multimedia.
Take offense.
Multimedia being that time.
Yeah, totally. So by the time we worked with Tumi, she was, so we're now overseas. How personal I met the Tumi is it's funny because obviously the industry is very small, but people know one another, and it was on social media. And Facebook mostly when you speak to someone, and this lady who always comments, but who's an amateur? Anyway, long short of it, by the time we met, when she came to our offices, this was like we knew each other for years. There was no interview, there was no job interview or anything. It was like, what are you guys doing here? Which clients you have? So, where's my desk? So Tumi started working with us. Was it in late 2016, 2017, around there? I'm getting old. And true to what Voyse said, and some of folks said at the funeral, Tumi just had her way. Once I understood how she worked, we were this tech team. When we go looking for new business, and she would say, because she never used to call me with my name, policy. She used to call me with my government name, which I'm not going to say. Tumi earned her right to call me with that name. She only called me police when she was angry with me, which was Monday mornings, we have status. And, talk about status meetings, because part of our responsibility was to look for business. And as a small agency, we try to share responsibilities. That's the only thing that used to make us fight with Tumi. Tumi, where's business? And then she would reply, police, and then I know that she's angry. But after that, Mrs. Sabenza, it's quiet because it's a small office. Towards lunchtime, the one on a plate, and this is Tumi. Now, if you've eaten Tumi's food, you don't want to say no. So much that it's a small company, we decided we're going to give some budget to Tumi. Because she started saying, here's what you need complain. So she'll cook for us. Then we became that team, even where we shared offices because it was shared space. Those people were just so jealous about us. CSMs that will come and disturb us because they want to speak to Tumi. So that was Tumi. We just brought people, didn't matter who to one. One thing about Tumi that friends and colleagues would know about is the love of her family. Every day you hear Papa Matseki, Papa Johnny, and Soledine. You featured when it was more business, especially with me. Papa Matseki, Papa Johnny. Tumi will speak about Papa Johnny. You stop doubting yourself as a father. There's something that I'm not doing right. It's worse if you got girl children, because that's just how they impact the parents. But we became a family, so much that I don't know. Like, okay, I'm gonna ask Mama Ntsiki. And when government name, you must pay Mama Ntsiki's money. So I'm sure Mama Ntsiki will remember one time. Tumi came as a 15 broke. You speak about music. I don't know, maybe it's different experience to different people. Maybe Tumi didn't take us so serious with we know music. Because the only music that Tumi and I used to discuss was Freddie Kwala, Amadamara. And, she used to make fun of, obviously, our educational background. As you said, he was eloquent, spoke so well. And then everything that I write, I take it to her to save it and edit. And she was just looking at it and said, I'm happy. I'll be so school. This was like, I'm spelling. I was like, I need to take this home when I have my name. And I need to work on this. With clients, Tumi knew how to work the room. It just came effortlessly. With new clients, so with this client, Glenrick, Pilchards, and the story that stuck with not just us, but with the client as well. So we just got the business, and Glenrick was off shelves for a long time because I think it was in Namibia and some selected stores. So we're working on putting it on shelves with the client, but there's no communications whatsoever. One of the sessions, we were planning to do a research, so we, putting a research brief together. And there were a lot of big bosses from the client side of the day, sales people and so forth, and the product they were pumped. So it was a time where clients discussing about should we include the research with the labeling. Should it change? Do people still remember it? And that kind of stuff. Out of the blue, people just grabs a can of Pilchards. I think it was the chili flavor. So the colors are not the same. Tomatoes very red. The chili is kind of like pepperish. Tumi's like, there's no question about why you must change this thing. Look at this, like a can of stick. So I'm sitting next to Tumi. I was purple. Just from embarrassment. She turns around, she looks at me and says, "Keep going." So the story about that is that part made so much impact with the client. He tells us, because he was also doing procurement, Glenrick was not allowed to fish in our waters here. So they had a factory in Morocco. That's where they're catching the fish. But the sauce was made in Vietnam. Yeah, I know everything I know about fish. It's interesting. Now, the client says, now can you imagine the sauce is in Vietnam? We have to take it to Morocco. Make sure that the color looks great. But every time I walked into the factory in Vietnam, I'm thinking of what Tumi and a can of sick. And to an extent that he told the food technologies that you need to get the colors right, just on the sauce. And they went on to change the labeling. But that was Tumi. She said that in jest, but she meant it. Somebody said, Tumi will tell you to go away and you look forward to it. She also did that with clients. But in a very good way. Some of the clients became friends, not just with us as an agency, but with Tumi. We had a former client here from Testimonies, we worked with her, ArcelorMittal. By the time she met with Tumi, she's like, "Where did you find her?" And they've been friends since. Just in ending, before the lockdown and business going south, and thanks Hausa for accommodating Tumi in that period, we had revamped our logo in 2015. So I don't have it here, but if you can think of the name June or the word June. So the UNN created some icons. They look the same, and one is facing down, one up. And jokingly we said, we're gonna call these the Tumis. She loved that. So it became part of our CI, and anything that we do, we feature the Tumis. So we have taken a decision at June 15, because Tumis is part of June 15, that we'll keep the Tumis.
Wow.
It's a way of us remembering and making sure that Tumi is with us. Amansiki, I know about you so much, and it pains me that I see you today. And she kept on saying, "When government name, PV," you know, and said, "I'll come through." So I owe that to me, that it should happen, at least in a back up at Dean. I just like to thank the family, and especially to Dean, for what he did for Tumi. Yeah, he used to speak to her quite a lot, especially closer to her last days. We love her. We still try to process, when I speak to some of the team members, they move on to other places, and some of them couldn't come today. So I said, no, well, it'll be easier because, to me, it's so difficult, not even for just us, even the offices where we were, because it was shared spaces, like I said, wherever you meet people that you've seen in a long time. They don't even ask me, what is wrong? What do I do? So, thank you for sharing Tumi with us. And to Matrix Group, thank you very much for organizing this. Thank you.
Just slightly taller. Only slightly. I think we're going to go to friends that were also in the industry. Initially it was going to be Nana and Penny. You are now the representative. So, Nana, please come join us. Mamanzigi, you will recognize that many of us are referring to you as Mamanzigi because boy, do we know you. Papa Jumili Mamanzigi are our virtual parents. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now how exempted. I would say that. Cool.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nana Zanani. I knew Utumi when she was 16 and I was 18. Utumi was my friend. She nurtured me when I was going through problems at home. When we invaded your home, Mamanziki, it was because I was running away from my home to come to yours. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Nana.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to change the mood.
Don't be sorry.
So let me start with the fun parts because I've heard a lot of things coming, and you guys think that you knew Utumi or you coined those things. These things is Gale Epanato Park High.
Sure.
Right? We were the girls with the ponytails and the side hair and the pulled up socks and the proper diction.
Yes.
We were ladies, and I suspect we are in our old age still. Utumi is the eternity of being. When I thought about what to say today, that is what I had in my mind. And I'll explain what the eternity of being is. But let me start with the Tumis. Tumi Epanatu. We used to call her the Tumi. So she's very familiar with that. And it normally used to occur when she was walking past the tuck shop, going to our little spot where we used to stand. There was 5 of us in a group, but of course, as time goes, you whittle down to the most important friendships. In that little corner, just past the school hall, we used to practice our en vogue moves.
Sure.
We used to practice SWV, but we also had a session to complain about our geography teacher, Mr. Brandio, who always used to make me stand when it was our class because I was ahead of Utumi, or Utumi when it was her turn in her class, because he used to speak in a monotonous tone. And Utumi used to ruffle his feathers just to get him to stop, just to get him to break the monotony. But Utumi was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Summertime.
Oh, yes.
Utumi was Maria Podesta, and Maria Podesta actually was because us, the girls, the cute girls, had those ponytails. This is Yandonga to the side, and that was to separate us from the chafe.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our principal, Mrs. McCrease, would always stand in the corner with a comb. Boitumelo Makwela, will you come here, please? And comb that hair back and tie it back, and she'd come with a very shiny spawn. Can't believe I got exposed like that by Macris. And we would console each other. She is a force of good. She's not a blunt instrument. She is of change. She is change. The fact that we're not seeing her in the physical means that she is even a greater force of change, a greater force of good, a greater force of power. Mama Nziki, thank you so much. No, Papa John. I want to read something because I take my solace from this book. I wasn't much of a reader because I was dyslexic, but I read the Bible and sometimes I listen to podcasts. So if I do send my CV to any of y'all and you see me trick, just forget about it. I know my job, I know my stuff. Okay? Utumi is the eternity of being, because in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon is a poet, writes about this book that illustrates time, that reflects on God's creation, that reflects on what's the point? Why are we here? What are we doing? And he says, what gain has the worker from his toil? I have seen business. I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I just need to put my glasses on. It's so bright. Yeah, okay. Very blind. Menopause, thank you. He says he has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I perceived that there is nothing better for them, though, than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also, that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toils. This is God's gift to man. This is the embodiment of the eternity of being. Everybody that stood here spoke about Utumi in her work life, in her toil. But Solomon questions, what is the point of being busy? We've just found out that the point of being busy is to come up with new thoughts, is to come up with new memories, is to have a wife who belongs to everybody else but you in a proper way. It is for all of us to be touched in some way and to be linked in some way to who Tumi was, and I'm so proud of that. But in all of that, Solomon remembers that as human beings, actually, he perceives that we actually have nothing better to do than to be joyful, to do good for as long as we live. That we should eat and drink and take pleasure in all the things that we do, in all our tours. Tumi cooked, she wrote, she loved her husband, she loved her mother and her father, she loved her brothers, she was beautiful. She embodied all of that in one person. And we can argue that everybody can do that. It's not important, it's not great. But if you look at how everybody has illustrated who Tumi is, you realize that the eternity of being is a force in all of us. And in how we present ourselves to people, not only matters, but is very important to the wholeness of creation. That who you are and how you walk on this earth matters more than what you have. Because nobody up here has mentioned how much Tumi had in the bank or how many accolades she's had. But everybody remembers how she was. So I'm going to end by saying a poem from Khalil Gibran. It says, and in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and the sharing of pleasure. Thank you, Mama Tiki. Thank you, Papa Chani. Thank you to the family. She was larger than life.
Thank you for those words. I just want to reflect on a message that I'm taking out. That Tumi didn't half love us, actually. There's a golden thread here of like life stages and businesses and careers, where we all know Tumi's family, but it appears that in our own challenging times, Tumi invested in us. She invested her time, energy, and the love that kept multiplying from home in all of us. So it's June 15th. It's starting up and starting out in your career at Inroads. It is having brainwaves and ideas, so it's joining Matrix Group. There was something about Tumi's aptitude almost, and a desire to see a seed germinate and become a flower. We're all actually saying the same thing. We're demonstrating how much she invested herself in us, that we are here today. And the next speaker, Bridget. Bridget came to mind because I know the journey they walked together. I know the seed that Bridget was carrying in the form of an idea, and I know how it multiplied when Tumi came into the mix. And so Bridget, please will you join us?
I seldom get muddled up like I am right now, and the reason for that is that I came late, but even if I'd walked in and I didn't know where I was, and the person that was being described was being spoken about, I think I would know how to do. And I'm saying this because in every single person who came here up to talk, I could have said, yes, I know that's true. Yes, I know it's Alan, you know. So I met Tumi around about 20, when South Africa days. That's how long it was. And when I met Tumi, yeah, I met her in Hore, as Tumi says, I was pregnant with an idea. So I met this very beautiful, energetic girl who, when she met me, I remember we went to somewhere close to where they lived in. You guys lived in Voyse somewhere? Yes. And we had a long lunch and we were brainstorming what we were going to do with this baby I was carrying, a women organization to develop, empower, grow other women, and all of this. And I actually ended up going, okay, I was still exploring this, but this human being is making me know that this is possible. I left Katamola, I've got to go and live and cook for the one that I live with. So I went to go drop him off to the one that she lives with. But I must tell you, that wasn't before we'd spoken about Papa Johnny and the Sunday music and the Sunday cooking, Mama and everything, because immediately when you walked into Tumi's life, and she has vetoed you because she didn't suffer any fools. She didn't suffer fools at all. But when she brought you into a circle, believe me, you arrived at another place, another space, being loved in a different way by a person. And I'll tell you what later happened in Malene. So a couple of times, next to where they live, we have a bit of lunch, we're organizing. In fact, we held organizing the party not too far from where you lived. But she keeps on talking about this guy that she says, I've got to go cook for that guy. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe doing a little housemaid or something. But you know the day that she also told me that she loves him, I didn't understand who him was, because I couldn't associate the guy that she cooks for and the guy that she loves. You know. And I just want to tell you that even though, I saw you a couple of times, we never really spoke, the love that she had was amazing for you. Equally, her first crush, she'd actually say, no man must ever think he'll ever replace my dad. Papa Joe. You know. And Mama, you were her queen. You know. We were meeting Gamsevitz. You understand that, right? But this is how far we went because of this beautiful human being. Later, I need to also mention that Tumi never called me like Bridget, with any chocolate, Choki, Chococo, Chochico. And how we got to that was in one of those meetings that we had next to your house. BP, right? They went to a bit of a restaurant there. So this guy's playing, oh, chocolate. So people and I just go, oh, chocolate. Chocolate. So that's how we became chocolates to each other. But there was a couple of times where I know that, you know, while we're good friends, she carried me. So one of the places where she carried me first was with Obama Women. It was a seat to me. I gave it into Tumi's hands. And how much budget do you have? And I said, but I gave it to her, the budget. And it was such a beautiful launch event. She invited other women of note. Everybody I know. She invited other people, other women, and I told her like these women, not only show her days. I can't do so and so. This is what she does. And one of the girls that I met through Tumi as a person who then called me to let me know how Tumi had passed on nearly 2 years ago. But how I met Tuli, believe me, I was sitting there waiting for Miss South Africa to arrive. Then not only her, you know, I mean, she had a whole list of women that were going to grace our event. And she made sure, well, they know they need to be there, and they were there. And that was the beginning, you know. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that Tumi's spirit is here. She's in us. She's left us with such a lot to live for and love. Her music. And she also hated Always Quarrel.
For sure.
Yeah. Come on. And like that, like, come on. Oh, yeah. You know, just don't. What you put on my way here, I was speaking to a colleague. She's in Durban. So I'm rushing off to a memorial service of a sister friend of mine. Tumi Makwela. We used to go hiking. So the hobby said to me that this is our Surutu. Now this is our Taratu. I'll actually have kept my, and I think it's just because I've been delayed about us, but I kept my messages in Sakalen. And the one message she was telling me, because I think I need to acknowledge the people if they're here. There's a message on Bolela Hore. She's going to read the book reading, the book club. Yeah. Book club, and she needs these girls to pick her up, and they're sisters to her. So she's really in a hurry, but Chobo goes, honey, she'll see me. And which she did get to me. But one of the kindest things that I want to tell you, I went through a very difficult time. And Tumi called me, and we were just talking. Arichoki, you can't be unemployed. Send me your CV. So I sent it to her, and she sent it to her clients at Mitsubishi. So Mitsubishi, they rejected me. And then Tumi said, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. I must call this guy. I don't want your job to be on the line. They must know what they're looking for. I know. I don't know if he harassed you enough. She did, right? But she told me that she was going to. She said it's atrocious. Does he know? But you know, he doesn't really know you. It's okay, you know me. And what you're doing for me is more than sufficient for me. You know? I have everything that you've spoken about got to me in me. The music, as I said, we met actually via Brand South Africa, not an agency, a client who, you know, and I'm so grateful for that meeting because it culminated in so many wonderful things. But do you know exactly what is status meetings? National status report. And before the content, this is wrong, this is wrongly spelled. Exactly, you know. And just coming back to when we became really close, and I realized Tumi doesn't belong to anyone. Tumi belongs to the world. Tumi belongs, like, you couldn't bottle Tumi. Even if she walked in here, by the way, meet so and so, do you would already know that people baleka work off for half of them? And that's it, it's done, you know? So, Mama, Papa, you brought us this gift that you couldn't bottle yourself. But what you did do was make sure Voyse is cool. And Voyse music, because she also acknowledged her origins. Her origins were very important to her. Her family was very important to her. In fact, I'm sitting here thinking, Tumi knew less about my family than how she invited me into her family life. So it's not like you've ever met me now, but I knew about your lovely girlfriend. You know what I mean? That's what, yeah, we should speak about her mom and say father's girlfriend. Yeah. So that's how she was giving. That's how she didn't mind. And she wasn't saying, it wasn't calculating. It wasn't like, Gwenna, what are you going to give me? Yeah. The way she was so authentic about herself, it was like, here I am. Here I am. And when I saw the tribute to Tumi after the video, and there's hope lives eternally, that is Tumi. That is Tumi. Friends and colleagues, Tumi will always be ours. There'll always be a little bit of that word that comes out, a peculiar, Tumi, fair, you know. And she would say it in a specific way and do it in a specific way. She did it her way. All of it. All of it. Even in loving you, team, you know. So when she told me she actually got married to you, again, it was like, you know, but it was because of the love. She's actually, she made us, our universe became so small because we all knew Tumi, because we all knew what we knew. Linda, Lenomsa, Letuli, Le Gineo, you know, all of us because of Tumi. May her beautiful, irreverent, gorgeous, stylish soul rest in peace.
I love how our eyes are still dry, mostly because we are smiling inside. But I will declare, I'm actually feeling quite weepy inside. But I'm hearing Tumi say, Tunes, you can't lose your composure now. The makeup. No, dude, let's just try something else. So, yeah. The other description I'd like to share, Tumi, is her relationship with authority. I often use this idea of people that have a vertical relationship with authority. So they view an authority figure with reverence. And you will know in our industry, for a client, you know, a section in reverence. One of the guys at our inroads days nicknamed the client the way of course Nick is that's that's why I was Tumi's friend. But the nickname, client in God. God Ufiki. And because I was a teeny tiny young strategist at the time, I had the privilege of sometimes saying very dangerous things. But I could be David to Goliath. What were you going to do? Were you going to bully me? But I'm sharing this this anecdote because I want to thank Tato Ramachasa. I got your surname right. And yeah, he's our next speaker, and I really kind of want to amplify again the relationships that Tumi is able to build with clients, such that it turns into friendship and it doesn't negate the professionalism. So, thank you, Gilberto Jenna.
Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, thank you to Jimmy's family for allowing us to have a space. Jimmy's bereavement, I unfortunately couldn't make it. On the Friday, I found out my cousin committed suicide, so I had to go to Northwest. But we always had the sense that we wished we could have a sense of closure, a sense of celebration. And we got all that and more today. And I realized that as a client, you can be a great and a bad guy at the same time. And when I spoke to the team about coming here, there was a certain gentleman in my office by the name of Jeff Allison, who then said he would like to share a note, a message for Tumi. And for anyone who knows Jeff, his note is a thesis. So I'm going to try and read it, but I would like to just caveat I do not look nor sound like Jeff, so take it from whence it comes. It reads, a message from Jeff Allison. Now that I'm heading rapidly towards the age of 40, I find myself more and more often pondering about life, what its true meaning is, and I regularly think about the legacy that I'll leave behind. When you leave the earth, how will people remember you? Will you be remembered as the person with the nice house, the one with great taste in cars, or the one with great style? Or would you be the one who had an impact on people's lives? Will you be the one who was remembered as being courteous, generous, supportive, trustworthy, and uplifting? The person who made everybody around them feel good. You see, when I think of Tumi, I never think about her dedication to her craft. I never think about how passionate she was about her work. I never think about how organized and professional she was at the office. The one thing I think about when I think about Tumi can be summed up in one word: joy. Tumi had this inherent ability to lift people up. Whenever I'd have a call with Tumi, I could hear a smile when I looked at Tumi. Whenever I looked at Tumi, I could see a smile. And whenever I was in her presence, I'd feel a smile. When you feel an energy as joyful as hers, it's transformative. It's infectious. You cannot help but smile and feel enthused, if only for a moment. Tumi and I had a connection. At times it was a cell phone connection, at other times it was an internet connection, and sometimes it was an HDMI connection. But it was always a human connection. We bonded over many things, but the thing we bonded over the most centered around family, with similar values, morals, views, and dreams, and with similar struggles. My wife and I struggled for many years to have children. It took a mental, emotional, and financial toll on us. Until one day we were blessed with twin boys. They are approaching the age of 2 now, and the amount of joy I feel when I'm with them is extraordinary. But believe me, they can be a handful. At times, it's tough, really tough. But recently when I look at them, I'm often reminded about Tumi, how much she'd ask about the boys, ask for photos, and the joy they brought to them. And when I do, I just smile. This makes the tough moments a lot easier. And this was Tumi. She lifted spirits, she brightened up the room, and she left a legacy of me, one of joy. Tumi, in some small way, you'll always be a part of my life. The birth of our twins was a miracle, and the fact that I see you smile when I see my kids makes me frown. That's my bad image. The fact that I see you smile when my kids make me frown means I'll always be reminded of you for many bad years to come. I oftentimes wonder if the reason I smile when Hutton and Oakley drive me crazy is that you're an angel looking down on us and I feel your smile. I look forward to many more smiles with you. Do me lots of love, Jeffrey, Hutton and Oakley. That is just for Jeff. So, sure. Before Jeff came on board, I started working with Tumi. And I just joined with Tumi, I think that was about 2 years ago. And I think, as I mentioned in my note, at the time we didn't have a marketing division. Well, we had just gotten rid of I said to the Khaza, no, look, I'm busy in the hiring process of a marketing team, but in the interim, I'm going to lean on you guys a lot. Said, no problem, but the perfect person, Tumi. Tumi became a PR specialist, social media specialist, marketing manager, event coordinator. I don't know, sometimes my disciplinarian should pull me by the ears at times. And I'll never forget one day we were doing an on-air read and sort of promotion around the vehicle. And the product specialist was supposed to be there, wasn't there. And then Tumi sends me lots of WhatsApps, you know, she was that way inclined. Where's this person? I'm like, Tumi, they're not there. She's like, no, don't worry, I'm the product specialist for the day. And I see her there just explaining the product. The way she loved it, she ended up, I think, convincing Dean to join the family. And I listened to him talk about Tumi's diction, a strong command of the English language. And I cannot help but remember a single incident where, on a Friday, we had a youngster full of youthful exuberance trying to write a social media post for us. And if I remember his wording, he said, describing a vehicle, until we're now going to WTF. And luckily I was the first one to see that. I remember looking at this way, oof. It's a Friday afternoon and I picked up the phone and I called Tumi, we've got a problem. And I walked her through the problem. I of course vented my problem to her. And despite her elegance in English, despite her good diction, she paused for a few seconds. And I'll not repeat what she said. But she proceeded to enunciate in a WTF. And I said, well, that wasn't the response I was expecting. I was expecting the formal apology, and she just went, and I could see her on the other side. I could see how upset she was, and I just started laughing. And we hung up the phone, and I remember hanging up the phone feeling quite relaxed. Tumi will handle it, as she would. And at 6 o'clock the next morning, I got a long email from Tumi explaining how she handled this whole thing. And Paul Tlamanane, I went home with having a good weekend. I don't think he had the same. After Tumi was done with them, because she repeated to remind him of the era of his ways. But that was Tumi, she was a problem solver. But she was very real. The one thing I appreciated about Tumi is that when you spoke to her, she spoke in a very real sense, in a very real mannerism. So I could trust her opinion. Because she would never be selling me anything. She would telling me the honest truth. She'd come and go, oh no, that's horrible. You know, not Tumi, don't say that. But she was a part of the team. So from a personal sense, I've lost a person I could bounce ideas off. A confidant, a person you could talk to about almost anything under the sun. And I know that in my team and the people she worked with, they've also lost a friend, not just a colleague or a business partner. So thank you for sharing her with us. As people mentioned, and rightly so, she spent more hours at the office than anywhere else. So we appreciate you sharing her with us, because we have a lot of her left with us, and the legacy that she left in the way that she done things. To the Matrix team, you are a small team, a dynamic team, and a team that works very closely together. I look at Mas, I look at Neo, I look at Mas. I remember all those debates we had as a team with Tumi. Tumi was a glue that held it together for us. So you've lost a really gem of a person, you've lost an incredible human being. And I'm just hoping that whatever you do, you remember what people are saying about it today. Because that is the DNA which is within your organization, which you should try and keep on with. Thank you.
Speaking of the company's DNA, I think I'm gonna declare here now, Khalza. I think I may have kind of had this conversation with Tumi, but I look at Matrix vibes, right? And I work for another small company, a slightly more formal and conservative startup, nonetheless. And I'm just I think I want my Fridays go Matrix, and I'm not even hiding it anymore. And for me, it ladders up. There's plenty of people I like. And so I kept saying to Tumi, I think people should get a Matrix, just because my office Fridays aren't there yet. And sometimes I have to speak English on a Friday as well. I get tired too. The next message, the next message is going to come from a member of the Matrix team, and it's going to be via video, but I think it's a testament to the entire collective at Matrix. So please listen to Nose.
Dear Deuce, I find it strange to be writing this homage to you as a wave of feelings and treasured recollections descend. I remember our first encounter where you had come to brief us on a project. In that time, all you wanted to know is who am I, where I'm from, and what I'm all about. And I can safely say from that day on, you and I hit it off immediately, and our relationship blossomed from there on. What can I say? You were a beacon of light, a source of delight with a contagious smile that lit up the office whenever you walked in. In you, I found a kindred spirit and a friend whose love and support knew no limit. You were always so supportive of me, especially in my newfound role. I recall the day the announcement of me being made MD was made. You sent me a text that read, "Hello MD Warana wako mums. I'm so happy for you, babes. I suspect you are ready and will therefore go at this wholeheartedly. I'm just here for this upward trajectory, my Nazibe." You immediately left the office you were in to run to my office with flowers and a note, which I still have. You always had a way with words, and it was your encouraging words and texts that got me through the most difficult times during the loss of my grandmother. Your friendship knew no bounds, and you possess an innate ability to connect with people, understand their struggles, and offer a helping hand without hesitation. You were a true friend, always there to lend an ear, share a shoulder to lean on, and provide comfort during our darkest hours. Your empathy was a gift that brought comfort and healing to those that needed it most. Your impact resonates with me, inspiring me to be better, to love deeper, and to make a difference in the lives of others, just as you did. It was so beautiful watching the bond you and my son shared. You were definitely the highlight of his day, whenever we'd find you at the office. I mean, you guys would talk about anything and everything, and the way you would make time for him was so special to witness. You were the only person that I know that would just openly hype him up and always tell him how beautiful his eyes and his smile was. And that's the one thing I think he will carry with him. I can go on and on about the silly things we talk about sometimes, but I promise you this, my nails and sneaker game will always be popping. Like you would say, "I am Wanyan, make sure your nails are popping and your sneaker game is tight." Though we grieve your absence today, I celebrate the privilege of having known you. So here's to you, my dearest Dims. Know that you brought joy, love, and warmth into our lives. You will forever be cherished missed, and remembered. May your soul find eternal peace. Love always, Nozibe.
Cool. I think we're getting to the point where we must really like perk up and listen. In my intro, I'm going to intro you with a question, Dean. Where on earth do you get the bandwidth? Where? Because if I observe and I listen to all of us, Tumi wasn't a cliquey person. So there isn't like a group of people. You almost are unable to predict who is going to come up, how they're going to be dressed, and what they're going to say. And yet you've had the bandwidth for all of us. Also, we see the periods are clearly. We see the idiosyncrasies. Hey, go. Yeah, my home story, I've got two stories actually. So a couple of years ago, I had this like brainwave. I didn't want to work for an agency anymore, and I was quite like, I was enjoying kind of freelancing and consulting here and there, and my whole attitude was I wanted to choose the projects I wanted to work for. I found myself having to work on hair care and pet food. I was just like, no, that's not going to be my portion, and so I went into freelance. But of course, I also didn't have an offspring at the time, so I had the freedom. And then I bought this overpriced camera because I was going to travel, and I wanted a great camera for when I traveled. I decided I'm going to do like a month in Europe and just like wing it. And then I thought, wait a minute, this is a chance for my downtime, especially in Strat. You spend a lot of time kind of reading, getting to know people's stories. I thought, why don't I just go into people's homes anyway and just record them and photograph them? So I crafted this proposition with my overpriced camera, and I said, I'm going to make my money back. The money that I spent on the camera, I'm going to make back by setting